Hello, welcome to Disney Dungeons and Dragons. I am your Dungeon Master, August Schmid, and with me, returning are some of our favorite Imagineers. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Welcome. This is Disney Dungeons and Dragons, as you guys know, and for those that watch, this is a Disney-themed setting of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. We do not own any of these properties, of course. This is all for fun and enjoyment, and for others to find fun and enjoyment. I invite you both back to the world of Dysania. High mountain ranges in the east to the sands of the west, the cold north far above with the Huns, to the deep, wet, hot jungles of the bayou in the south. The world of Dysania has just come out of 2 long years of peace. After all of the craziness of the apocalypse of the 4 horsemen, the world has entered a state of rest. Businesses have grown, kingdoms are thriving, princes and principalities are the norm once more. And as we are in this world, we do not go to the knights as they travel across the realm in service of the king. We do not go to the venatores, the local contractors who seek out work in this strange land. And we do not go else to the other planes and dimensions of Dysania, but I instead take you to a small cavern far off in the east. We see the Horn mountain range, with the Horn rising high towards the north, and the smaller horns, each with their jagged peaks running across like a beautiful comb on a brush. As we see these mountain ranges flicking through snow, ice, tree, we eventually come upon a lone mountain standing with a cavern on its southern side. This cavern is much different than the rest. This seems to look naturally occurring. Rock and stone have been hewn out of earth in that erosion sense where water has trickled through, and we do in fact see a small stream coming out of the mouth of this cavern. But unlike what would be naturally occurring, there is a small stone path of steps leading up. Now, this is the 30th day of Arthurin, the month of hope, in the year 9260. It is cold winter, and as we see, wind howls through the mountain ranges, their piercing whistles creating a symphonic, discordant chorus of noise, of trees bending, wind blowing, snow falling. But as we approach on these steps into the cavern, as if by magic, stepping in, the room we now enter becomes warm and lush. It is lovely through some magical purposes. There are fires blazing in small torches around the room. Lovely rug and incense burns. We see that there are actually what we would know in our modern day, but almost like a waiting room. There are different style of chair or furniture, places to rest, which seems strange because in stark contrast to the chaos of winter outside, this is a sanctuary of peace and warmth, not only in sense of temperature, but even in sense of sound, where as we enter in, almost in that camera zoom sense, the noise has ceased. We are in a peaceful setting. As we enter this room, then, we are greeted first with an interesting figure, and to which I will say, Tice, go ahead and introduce your character to everyone.
So I am Prince Adam, husband of the Oracle, one of the most powerful people in all of Dysania. That is myself. I am standing at a place of attention and kind of guarding of the oracles. That is my role. My responsibility is to be a protector. As such, I stand guard, and I observe over the mountains many times through magic because it's cold outside. My clothing is still befitting of that of a king. Even though I might live in a cave, I am still king of France.
Excellent. We see this regal figure. As Adam, you are sitting here, it has been interesting. This has now become a rather nicer home away from home, but it is still not France. But as we see further back in the cave, you know there is still this portal that has been created. Now, through different design and magic, it is actually what would look to be that intricate, beautiful woodwork and stone of a door in France. That, as we know, leads directly into your castle. But as you sit here in your, shall we say, maybe day job, you have this grand cavern all to yourself. There hasn't been a visitor in many months. The last person actually to come here, you kind of vaguely remember it was that like halflingish person who had come seeking adventure, and you deemed them worthy enough to seek the oracle because they didn't seem to hold any malice or ill intention. But you never know. You gotta be sure, especially when it is your wife that is the one giving the oracular visions. Adam, though, as you go, you cannot help but think, not 1 week ago, you received the bird message from Snow and Arthur, where they talked about the grand parties to be held in Magencia that night. The message and brief from Arthur. We're planning a grand celebration, almost not in too much of a surprise, but to let the peoples of the realm have joy in this new year. We wish, of course, you could be with us. We love you, miss you. And actually, Arthur stated in the bottom he plans hopefully to make a visit in the next 2 weeks, as there's some minor stuff. He says, I've been having a bit of it's actually interesting. The note says specifically, Adam, it's been rather odd. Whereas the kingdom is running smoothly, Magencia is fine, and all the kingdoms in the realm seem at peace, something doesn't seem right. Perhaps it is off intuition, or maybe I'm paranoid after so long of peace. But I would love to talk to you and get your insight into maybe what my issues could be, or if this is an actual thing. I've set the date for the 14th day of Elysian to visit you. I hope you and Belle are doing well. And in very brief, Snow even said, and please let us know if we can bring anything for this visit, whether food or game, just something where when they visit, it's a fun time. Adam, in thinking about this, you can't help then but think it's that very natural, somewhere to the east, far, how many hundreds of miles out, the kingdom of Magencia is now this night having a party. And it's been years since you've partied. I think it may be that natural, not only after 2 years of peace, but even before, Belle, when's the last time you were able to celebrate? Having gone in and saving the world, having gotten even well before that, after dealing with this curse, when's the last time you were ever able to revel, to have a night of joy with those you want to spend time with? As you're sitting here thinking, you actually look over, and seeping out of, in the furthest parts of the cave, past like curtain, you see green and blue smoke begin to curl out from underneath the rug, which actually is a sign that a vision is about to take place. This is nothing new. It's a very normal occurrence. But with that, we pan through, we push past the curtain, and we see now the interior, after this antechamber of this home, shall we say, we now see a room. And I will actually say, Belle, if you want to introduce yourself, and how do you think this room would be decorated? This is something that you would personally get to do because it's something, whatever helps you, right? Like everyone needs a study room. So go ahead and introduce that. And how do you want this room to be?
The room would be lined floor to ceiling with books and desks scattered with more open books, over which I am poring over as this vision comes over me.
Excellent. We see tomes. There are leather-bound books. There are scrolls wrapped in wax seals that have been broken and resealed so many times as you've read them. We see tablet of clay and stone. This is the best personal library in the world. There are books of magic. There are books of fiction. There are books of history. There are books of simply just books for books. There's even those index and article. As you see, Belle, it is a lovely day. Weather, again, in contrast to the storm outside, inside, it has been lovely and temperate. You've been poring over these scrolls and books all day long. And as you see here, again, these robes now that are actually getting rather old, these robes of a magi that were gifted to you so long ago that have scrolls tucked in random spots and quills with ink to make notes as you write. You feel an oracular vision coming, and it's an interesting feeling. Whereas before, these were almost spurts, shall we say, or rather like things that just naturally appeared, almost like coughing or blinking, right? You don't really recognize. You've gotten better at recognizing when a vision can happen. And so, in that, you feel the warmth and cool at the same time. It's that tingly feeling of from the tips of your fingers coming through, stretching across your skin and robe down through your hair. You maybe take that seat of like, okay, let me sit down, let me take in. You put handy little bookmarkers that maybe Adam gifted to you how many months ago into the book. Make sure you don't lose your spot. As you sit and a vision unfurls. As the blue clouds over your eyes, what we all see, but Belle, what is internal, your eyes glow that brilliant golden blue light. And as they shine in that metallic magic, the smoke curls around your hair, almost lifts slightly off of your shoulders. As your vision clouds, the books and library disappear and is replaced, first, of course, with that blackness. As this vision unfurls, as so many visions do, the world shifts and turns. It is not set in one spot. You watch as smoke billows and comes out of into shapes, and you see shapes of buildings and persons that pass fleetingly. But what you see immediately shocks you as you see the kingdom of Magencia. You see the central tower, what you now know, and Arthur is the Petrum Superbia, this central tower, this central kingdom, and across Magencia you see fire. You see fire and smoke pluming in very specific spots. Across, smoke billows and flaps, becoming shapes of great drake and wyvern. You see the smoke descend, becoming fire, mixing into the city as destruction reigns. Coming out, you then stop the vision, and it shifts. As you see, the plumes of smoke all swirl together. And as they rise, the vision shifts, and you see 9 figures, each monstrous in form, rising out of the smoke, some with appendages coming out of places they shouldn't, some with heads that split open with teeth and claw. Nothing visible or discerning, but as these smoke figures, these 9 figures arise, each then breaks and shifts in smoke to become one singular personage, and a personage which you have seen with your own mortal eye. As you see the fire erupt from the head, glowing yellow eyes gleaming through the smoke, pale blue skin with the pearliest of white grins looking through. And as the vision shifts one last time, you see yourself and Adam. And as you are looking, you are holding Adam on the ground. And he seems lifeless. But as you see behind you, a figure stands cackling and you hear these echoes that roll in with the thunder of this vision. You are not sure what this means, but as you hear this cackling, as you see Adam, you look down. Adam is not in his human form, but rather he is in this beast form, this form he has now since mastered and grown to become this weapon for himself. And he has been completely skinned. No fur remains on him as he lies gasping and dying in your arm. You see these visions, and just as suddenly as they all start, everything stops.
And I sit up with a gasp and run to go find him.
Adam, you see, only a couple minutes after the smoke began, immediately the curtain is drawn back. Belle, you rush out and immediately find Adam in the antechamber.
And I'm going to tell him about the vision, and something's very wrong.
Something's very wrong. At this time, I will say you guys have like some rudimentary, like Merlin actually is the one that helped with this. There's a strange device that he is calling a clock that is on the wall. This is a time, you know, it is close to midnight right now in the world. Like it is a very late night, because it's been a late night of, hey, you never know when people are going to show up wanting visions, especially like, hey, maybe for the new year. But as Adam, Belle, you recount this vision to him of the fires and the smoke and the figures, and especially that ending scene. Midnight has fast approached, and as you are talking, you both can look over and see that the clock has indeed reached its complete and total zenith, which from Merlin means, you know, with that marking, it is now midnight. As you are sitting here, both of you feel it's that very natural, like, unease, as this is a vision that does not bode well for either of you or for the world in general. As Belle, especially the figure of Hades in a vision never bodes well. Seeing the god of the dead in this world is not something that is ever comforting, but especially not in a vision that ends with a horrible visage of seeing something. Belle, if you want, this is going to be our first roll of the campaign, you can roll me an insight check on your own vision. It's something interesting because it's how do you discern what a prophecy means or what lines mean really.
Ooh. That's a 28.
28. That's really good. Immediately, Belle, here's what you're kind of getting. This vision seems to be both maybe what we will call present and future. And that's like, especially from giving visions before, seeing Adam lying, you know, with no skin, right? That's definitely like some sort of like ominous future thing. And on a 28, here's immediately what future is never set in stone. Especially from the visions you've had with your friends, with what you've given as Oracle. It's great peace of mind to know that is just something that could happen. But so is the idea of us falling, a rock falling on us. So is the idea of us going and getting food, right? Futures are always changing, but that's something very specific to be seeing in a vision. On a 28, something in this vision is trying to show you of warning. This is not a vision of hope or a vision of like thought promptness, like to other people what would be like, hey, here's something that could show you an intricacy of your life. This is something that is trying to show you something that is wrong or something that may be in danger. As you are both sitting here, Adam, you have advantage on your perception checks with that fun little beastie thing you got there. So go ahead and give me your perception, though, at this moment.
Okay, that is a 19.
19. On a 19, while you're sitting here, again, you've just talked through this, you are hearing a noise from outside the cavern. It's something that magically, even this cavern has been enhanced to help, like with that. You can hear, so no matter how loud it is outside, if someone's approaching, you're gonna know, right? It's kind of like the acoustics have been magically centered into like a big old megaphone. But you hear, it is not the sound of feet. It is not the sound of like maybe like horseback or person. This is the sound of wings. Something is flying towards the cave. As you prepare yourself, you are not surprised by this. Slamming through the sleet and snow into the floor, and as it hits the floor, it erupts. A small blue jay erupts in feather and magic. A message from snow has appeared, and there is a scroll on the ground now.
Okay. I stopped prepping to cast this firestorm that I had around on my hand, and it's a letter from Snow. Okay. I'm gonna pick it up, open up, and read the note that she's
awesome.
given us.
The fire dies away as like claw and fur and fire start to form on your hand. Back out. You pick up the letter. Immediately, though, written danger in big words. This is what the note says. All temples of the world have been attacked. Magentia, Sumani, China, and Agrabah. No major temple of the gods exist. All the clerics have been murdered. There are no holy people left. Arthur is talking with Imagineers Rapunzel and Meg in Magentia. Sumani, the temple and cathedral of Zeus, is crystal and ash. Seeking advisement. How soon can you talk to Arthur? Period. Very short note. Again, you actually know, Belle, magically, the longer the message, the actual more magic and power it takes Snow to send it. So quick messages help, especially if you're trying to go fast. And this was like the fast. Again, that bird exploded the second it hit the ground. No, it wasn't real, of course. It's just this magical creation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so things are, and so you know, of course, on the backside, you can write down then a response on the backside and use the magic of the note to send it back out. Is there anything you say right now, or what do you guys do?
I'm gonna grab it and write down immediately. Get here now.
Get here now.
Yeah.
Cool. 3 letters. It means it's going to go really fast. You tie that up. Boom. The bird becomes this wonderful yellow canary, almost the color of your robes, Belle. And that boom. This bird shoots like a rocket out of the cave. I'm gonna make a roll. Okay. 23 minutes go by. And you guys hear a knock at the door to France. In going over, you keep this, so it is locked from your side. It's the only way to lock
Yeah.
it. In locking through and using the peephole on the other side, you see Snow. Looks like she has just woken up. She is standing there looking very harried. Behind her is a wizard in green robes. It is not Agatha or Merlin, but you see some other like wizard-looking person, just like a much older, possibly one of the sorcerers from Germany. But she is standing, breathing hard behind the door.
So I don't recognize this guy in green robes. He
No.
looks like he could be some. Is he doing anything like not malicious, but what is his posture like? Like, is he holding Snow? Is Snow able to like, is
Yes.
she with herself, or is she being like kind of held? Does it look like?
So it doesn't look healthy. So you see that whoever this man is, much older, you see he has in one hand a scroll. In part of a hand, he's got like a quill with ink, and in another, like a vial of dust. You see he is like making some sort of like magical sealed sigil scroll. And
Okay.
kind of like, and so, and like you've seen this, it's like a rush job. Like he looks to be doing something behind, but it doesn't seem to be like malicious. If anything, he just
Okay.
seems to be a companion with Snow right now, in
Okay.
terms of writing, doing stuff as she is standing there, and it looks like she's knocked on the door because she's looking side to side, just like waiting.
Okay. In that case, I am going to kind of have my. Oh no, that's a 1 minute casting time. Oh, sorry. Let's see. I'm going to be having investiture of wind prepped as I open this door, just as a if stuff happens, that I can whisk us out quickly.
That's
So
smart.
I'm not casting it yet, but just as a if stuff happens, I'm ready to get us out.
That's amazing. That's smart. Perfect. You get that kind of bamfing ready. You feel the magic coursing through your hands, right? Ready at the second. As you then, so you unlock. It is a beautiful magical lock, actually. So it requires you or Belle, your actual hand, in the turning of the metal. It's kind of that like early thumbprint idea of the magic puts in as you turn this giant metal wheel and push it over to the side, which unlocks this door. Upon entering, Snow looks up, of course. Same with this gentleman. You see, again, this just looks to be a much older sorcerer who doesn't really stop what he's doing. He's still like shaking powder and ink over this paper. Snow rushes in, immediately pulls you into hug Belle. You see she comes in. She is breathing and starting to cry. You see this isn't good. Belle, this isn't good. We've been attacked. Everything, there's so many dead. We need help. We need help.
Full agreement. Who's this?
Oh, this is one of our sorcerers from Germany. His name is Hans. He's the one that helped me get here because the teleportations are all down. Most of our teleportation circles we're coming with the magic of all the clerics in Sumani and Magencia and the other parts of the world. They're all dead. We don't know what's happening. All we know is Arthur has told me there is one cleric alive in Magencia, a man by the name of David, a cleric of Dionysus. The Imagineers saved him from one of the attacks. They say, Belle, so much is happening. Where do I begin? Please, Belle, is it all right? Can Hans use some of your library? He's making another teleportation scroll back for us as soon as we can.
Yes, come in.
You see, Hans gives you a danke, very in this German accent. As he comes in, he kind of just like mage hands a few scrolls and is immediately trying to make a rush job teleportation off of the cusp. As Belle comes in, Belle, you allow this. Hans is pulling this. You see Snow comes in, and you see she takes a moment, breathes, and you see she foom, 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 and 3 beautiful metal chairs with cushions unfold out of the air, and you see she actually does this. She's whistling the tune, and these notes are becoming the magic of this. And so basically, she doesn't make a chair for Hans because you see this guy is like walking and moving. As she sits down, she looks at you both. This is bad. We don't know what happened. We were getting ready for the celebrations of the new year when in Sumani, all I know is I heard reports of 3 dragons descending on the Cathedral of Zeus. And the cathedral is now gone. I have as many civilizations as I can. Mr. Incredible and his armies are currently scouring the scene, making sure there's no more Drake left in the city limits. But as far as he's reported back to me, there are no survivors for any of those temples. You see, she quickly pulls out. She's got like kind of a bookish list. It's like this beautiful little like leather-bound book. As she takes you through, she's like, we don't have many temples in the world, but the temples of Zeus, Artemis, and Hera, the 3 in Sumani, are gone. In Magencia, Athena, Dionysus, Poseidon, Artemis, and Zeus's temples are destroyed. We've just heard back from China. The temples of Ares, Aphrodite, and Athena are gone. In Agrabah, we've yet to hear from Agrabah, but we can only assume the worst. As well as the Doc just reached out to me. Their temple to Hephaestus was destroyed. No one's heard from the Orcs or Neverland, but we can assume that if as soon as we can hear from Neverland, this was a coordinated attack. we are in trouble. From what I've heard from Arthur, the Imagineers bring terrible tidings. The Imagineers just came to Magencia. They say Rapunzel and Meg, apparently, they are in trouble with the gods. We don't know what's going on, but as much as Rapunzel told us, because of her ability to bring people back from life, Hades brought up charges to the gods on grounds of breaking the laws of nature and asked for their death. In mitigation of that, the gods have assigned them a quest. As far as Arthur's told me, they are in charge of killing demon lords or something that's going around Dysania. We don't know what these demons are supposed to be, but they went to Magencia to try to start finding them. Belle, this is where I need you to help me with a vision, because all this is going on. Agatha sent me because she is in trouble. Someone robbed her during the attacks. Most is there. Thankfully, the Black Cauldron and the very other item is still there. But she says that the souls, when you helped fight in the Cathedral of Zeus, the souls of Mordu and Shanyu have been stolen. On top of all of this, we haven't heard. Half of the Imagineers left weeks ago. I met with some. Mr. Incredible was one of them, was heading down to Tartarus because of some magic that they are trying to steal out of Tartarus and helping with things to come. Mr. Incredible didn't tell me much, but the problem is a week later, he died. We know he died because his clone that we had made of him awakened in Sumani and is now back. And he says that he doesn't know whether the rest of them are okay. But we know that Imagineers such as Jim Hawkins and Morph are somewhere down Tartarus, and they've been non-responsive for almost a month now. You see, this whole time Snow has been crying. You see, she is just so anxious and just like stressed right now. But you see that she turns to you, Belle, and Adam. She just, can you help me in getting a vision? We need to know what to do, because if there are no clerics in the world, this bodes ill. And there's something else you two should know. It's about who led the attacks on the temples. Snow, just, I don't know how else to tell this. This is directly from the words of Meg and Rapunzel. Apparently, Lily, but not Lily, some dark, evil Lily, was the one trying to kill the temples. She brought in the dragons, but it doesn't look like Lily, not like our Tiger Lily. This was dark. She had different tattoos and looked evil. So please, Belle, I need your help. Look, can we try to do a vision? And I need your advice on what we can do right now.
Absolutely. So really quick, I'm going to fill her in on my vision that I just had before, that is like piece by piece or correlated with everything she's telling me so far. I'm going to let her know how it ends, and then let her know, especially the part about Hades.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it looks like the nine figures of smoke. Correct me if I'm wrong, where there be 9 demon lords. Mm-hmm. Seems like that might fit.
Snow agrees. She's like, this makes sense. When did you have this? How long ago was this vision?
Like 2 minutes before we got your message.
Oh, okay. You see, Snow's like, no, I wasn't insinuating. I know that it must have been soon, or you would have told us. I know that's not what you were trying to do. But yes, if there were 9 figures and Hades, yes, something going on with these demons. But if there's more going on, I'm not sure. You say you saw these things. Yes, so you saw Hades and the dragons and these 9 figures, but that must be correlative to what the Imagineers are dealing with. So
Does
Okay.
Snow know about Lily's deal that she made in life?
She doesn't.
Do we know about that deal?
I do.
You
Belle's
do?
the
Okay.
only one. Belle, you are actually in a position of extreme power in terms of knowledge. You are the only canonical person that knows about the deal. And so that's kind of that dark, like, oh no. So you see Snow sitting there. She just, okay, I've never had a vision with an oracle. Do we need to pray? Do I need to make an offering to you? Is this like a...
I'm not.
I really like laugh a little bit and be like, no, do you go all like protector mode and then I'll do my ass stuff. What was my divination?
Yeah, so
Was it my
divination is so intelligence and your proficiency.
okay?
Because yes, it's a divinatory check that only you can make.
Okay.
So go ahead and make that roll. I will say Hans will also like he'll take his scrolls and kind of walk to the antechamber just out of that like okay I'll work outside for a moment. And Adam, you definitely can like get ready. Like you don't have to like beast, but you can like kind of prepare to like okay she's going into a very vulnerable state. You already have Investor of Wind too, kind of prepping. So if that helps.
Yeah. Now that Hans has kind of walked out and I don't have anything too much to fear immediately from him. Maybe instead of prepping that, I'm going to be prepping a plane shift. In the event that stuff happens, we can get out immediately to I'm going to select my plane of Earth.
Gotcha.
Rod. So.
Gotcha. Cool.
Not that anything's going to happen, but in preparation.
You got to be prepared. Yeah.
Here's my job.
Cool. So Belle, go ahead and make that roll.
So that's 24. 24.
24.
Plus 9.
It's a great modifier. You feel the smoke starts to curl again. And it's starting to become comforting, Belle. Like, even though you just had a vision too, just a little ago, it's that, oh, this feels really nice. You and Snow take a seat. Snow takes your hands just in that, like, underhanded cup. As she takes her hands, Adam, you see this. Belle's eyes glow that golden blue. And you watch as Snow's eyes then mirror that golden blue. As the blue just comes around, the smoke travels. Belle, you find yourself then in this darkness. But now, as is with the Oracle, Snow is beside you. You are watching and you see intricate shapes are moving in the shadow. As 9 figures arise out of the smoke, you see other figures are rising out of the smoke in opposition. 2 figures you see Rapunzel and you see Meg. But you see other figures. You see 2 other humanoids, one with maybe pointed ears, one with a larger mechanical gun. You see a loxodon, a bird, these other like things all combating into the smoke. But as you're doing on a 24, as you watch them like moving into the smoke, you watch as the solitary figure of Hades moves behind and away from the figures. And as you turn, you and Snow can watch, Hades turns and you see 9 other figures. These figures, and you see more smoke has curled up in more of these combatants. And again, you see figures you see the small form of Morph. You see what could be Jim Hawkins. You see Jasmine. You see Mr. Incredible. These figures combating a new 9. As this smoke grows, you see that these now 18 figures with their set combatants are swirling around you in a slow circular, each moving past the other in counterclockwise position. So one moving clock, one moving counter. As they pass each other, you are standing in the center of this circle. You see a lone figure moving. and you see multiple random figures are popping up almost in a chase around this, as this now is becoming a chaotic, discordant vision. There are now the two giant groups moving. There's one group with multiple smoke trying to claw and catch at something moving. You hear the laughter of Hades behind. You see this dark movement. And on a 24, just high enough for the certain DC of what you could see here, out of the corner of your eye, you see one final figure. A figure of a woman that seems to have taken something out of Hades' grasp and is moving into slowly the center of the circle, moving towards you and Snow. As you see a figure moving forward, smoke bubbles and rises out of the mist. As this figure crushes something in their hand, all of the figures fall. You watch the chasing smoke fall. You see the visages of Morph, Rapunzel, everything are falling. You see the 9 figures slowly merge again into Hades. And you see Hades standing over, darker in your vision, and this female cackle from your first vision returns. As you come out of this vision, it's very sudden with that gasp sitting up. So much happened. Adam, what's interesting is, unlike the vision before, this vision was instantaneous. Not maybe 2 seconds went by. This was not your normal, like, oh, they were in there a while. This just all happened at once. And Belle, if it wasn't for the past 2 years of you trying to slowly like hone these skills, so much of this is just so new that you're still processing this. You see Snow actually doubles over and is like kind of that like nauseated heaving. She looks very out of it because it's a lot for someone to go through. But immediately this has all happened, and this is what you've seen.
All right, so I'm gonna share with him everything that we've seen. I'll get a bucket for Snow just in case.
You get a bucket. She heaves. It's a little. It's not like a bad, but it's a lot. You get so nauseated with vision, especially a vision where things are spinning. You see Snow just kind of wipes her mouth using a handkerchief she has. She kind of sits up. She just, oh, what was that? What's going on?
That was a vision. I want to roll a history or arcana, probably history, into the female voice, the female cackling, and see if I recognize it at all.
Definitely. Please do so. I will say, Adam, you are sitting here. So you see Hans has like kind of like poked in from the curtain, and is more just like looking to see if it's okay for him to enter, as he is like still midway through this spell.
Yeah, I'll give him a nod.
He comes back in. Mage hands just a couple more books, starts writing. So Belle, what did you get on that roll?
A 26.
A 26.
It's
Belle, this is fun. I love when rolls are right up a character's alley, because then it's fun where you're like, oh, I know these things. Belle, historically, people cackling have never been a good thing. I mean, way back when you were first fighting the evil queen and Jafar, she could cackle. Not like her, though. This is a cackle, a very refined and aristocratic cackle. There is a very small chance, as you think back from long ago, when back after everything with the Chernobog and everything, before you all met to go start into the Horsemen, when Arthur sent you off in finding the cauldron that Agatha lost, there was a person that you and Adam met very, very briefly. This was a high society dinner out in Sumani, and you remember this because Snow invited you more as like a moral support of, I don't know how to do these things yet. We're supposed to like invite, these are like investors and capitalists and entrepreneurs, people who like invested into the world. But you remember there was one woman in particular that stood out to you. She was a philanthropist among philanthropists. She has donated millions in terms of upkeep. You even know this because you've heard of her from all of the donations she's given, the company she's set up around the world now in terms of helping with clothing and design and food. But you remember because of the intricacy, how she had styled her hair, one of side of her head, black, jet black hair, the other shockingly white, pearled white, beautiful. And the laugh she gave, just so cold and yet so beautifully pitched, sounds almost exactly like the cackle you heard. But it couldn't be, because this is, again, noted philanthropist and, you know, pioneer of fashion, the woman Cruella de Vil. And you've never, I mean, you met her like briefly once and only ever heard of her before. And she's not even a major player. This is a character who, like, you've heard just in passing, because again, she just donated, you know, 2 million again to the children's hospital in Sumani. Or, oh, did you hear she just donated her entire line of clothing off to China to help with the elven rebuilding. This is a noted public figure that has, for some reason, entered a vision for you. All this is
And I've heard her in both visions. It was the same cackling voice in both visions.
That is the same voice in both visions.
I'm just gonna flat out ask Snow what she knows about Cruella de Vil.
You see, Snow has breathing. She just summoned herself a little glass of water, just sipping. Just, Mrs. de Vil. Yes, she's one of the noted fashion philanthropists of Sumani. She's always invited to the charity galas that we hold. I know she's a native of Sumani. She was born there. Took over her fashion empire really from her own mother. Not much. She's seen in society. She goes out. She makes visits. Doesn't leave Sumani that often, but she has been known to travel. Why do you ask?
And I'm just gonna tell Snow, about this. I've only met her once, but hers is the voice that was cackling in this vision and in my last one, and that's enough reason for me to say that she's not to be trusted, and she's working with Hades.
You see,
or trying to.
Snow nods slowly. She just, that does not bode well. Snow is someone we've always, Snow says to you, Cruella is someone who has always been favored in the public light. Millions love her in Sumani, across the world as well. This isn't good, but if you heard her in her vision, something is going on between her and whatever forces are happening. You see, Snow is kind of starting to breathe a little fast again, just in this. Okay, I don't know though who I can send. If the Imagineers are dealing with that and the others are gone, and we have people, Arthur says he's hiring hunters, Venatore, to help with Agatha's robbery, and I don't know who to send. You see Snow stops and looks at you both. Could you... I know this is not smart, but we have no one else left in the world. Hades is attacking so carefully these days. We don't know what we can do. Can you two come with me to Sumani and start helping with whatever's happening here?
I think helping to prevent the collapse of the world is more important than helping people with visions.
You see Snow kind of smiles. She just, thank you. This will be a big help. Prepare as best you can. I must return with Hans immediately as fast as we can to Sumani. Personally, the teleportation spell he's already set up is meant for us. I will start figuring out as fast as I can. If you don't mind just waiting, we can have a spell sent to France that can immediately transport you. I will let you know as soon as possible, though, what is the state of the world. I know Arthur is... You actually, at this moment, a bird flies through the door that from France into Snow's hand. You see she stops, kind of like compresses it down and up into like a little scroll. Immediately reads through just, okay. Arthur says he's just talked with the Imagineers. They're preparing to head out to Agrabah for the next demon lord, they say. He says they don't have much, but they're heading as fast as possible. And he says that the Asmarians have arrived, not of Neverland. Chief Poeton and his daughter Pocahontas have arrived to help. Something about Pocahontas heading with the Imagineers to assist them, as we need as much divine help as we can right now. You see, she reads through, just quickly, okay, Arthur says he has this, he says he can meet us in Sumani then, as soon as he can. But we will see what happens. As she writes down just a brief, thank you, send word ASAP. Boom, bird flies back through the doorway. You see, she turns. Hans, at this point, you see he is almost finished spell. There's like a small little candle that has like appeared on his finger, and that he's like burning the like smoke and ink into this final sigil. He just kind of nods at Snow, and Snow just, okay, I will send for you in a few days. When you come, I will say nothing about you being the Oracle or the Protector.
Yes.
That is a non-starter. If you would like, you are coming as a member of the Council of Princess and my personal friend Belle, if that's okay.
That sounds great to me.
You see, she just, I know this isn't much, but I'm sure the rest of the council will ratify you. This is how you will have credence to be in Sumani with me, or to travel through the world for this time as we try to see what's happening. If Hades is looking for a fight, well, he's going to get one. You see, Belle, Snow pulls you into that fast friendship hug. Sad to leave, but as she gives you that hug, Adam, Hans nods at both of you. As they step through the door, you see Snow just, good luck. We will see you soon. She closes the door and they are gone. You are both now left. This is a bit of downtime where you are going to have a couple days before anything. In this time, basically, you're just going to get little birds from Snow, just about like, we have a room prepared for you at Sumani at the Chambers of the Princess. We talking about how right now huge efforts are being put in. They have yet to find any other clerics in the world. There is really only the one cleric still in Magentia. Besides Rapunzel, but she's not really a full cleric yet in terms of like a high priestess. Right now, a couple days can go by. Is there anything you guys want to do to prepare? Is like, do you want to try gathering books, supplies, spells, anything before you go?
Okay.
One of the things that I just in the correspondence with Snow, as she's telling us more about still no sign of clerics, I do want to inquire about the Asmarians, because they are very closely related to the deity. So I'm wondering if they've been attacked or anything.
Here's what you would learn. Yes. So in Neverland, the shrines of Artemis, those very holy, those were destroyed.
Yeah.
What you find is that the Asmarians, so the Asmarians of Powhatan, he is actually the head chief. This is not Chief Morningstar, Lily's father. Chief Powhatan actually technically is the head chief. They exist in basically a sub-planar Feywild area that shifts and moves. No one has actually been there that really knows about it. You've heard rumors of maybe some Englishmen that tried to form a colony there that didn't go well, because it's a land that moves even throughout Dysania. It's unplottable on a map because it can be anywhere and nowhere. But what you are informed is Powhatan has brought his best tribal medicine chiefs and warriors in basically a shoring of religious magic. In terms of so many clerics are gone, these are now the main thing. Neverland is still dealing with their catastrophic, so they aren't sending anyone from their tribe. But right now in Magencia, that's where the Asmarians will be, because and yes, they have some of that insight into deity because these are a godling race, people that were born out of the gods. It's very unclear whether are these the race that the gods formed when myth tells us the gods made peoples, but I thought peoples were people, and so there's a lot of mystery still surrounding them. But for the first time in forever, there is a lot of Asmarians on the mortal plane in Magencia. The other stuff you would learn is, yes, the orcs have said how their temple to Demeter was attacked. The Dwarven Nation, yes, their temple was attacked. The only temple of a god that is not Ash currently is a temple to Hades that exists outside of Duckburg. It's the only one that was not attacked by a dragon or other demonic force. In these 4 days too, is there anything else? So that's just some of the information. Yes, Snow would help you guys learn.
Yeah.
These are who you can find where right now. Is there other stuff you want to know? Because Snow can also help in if you need supplies sent to her to pick up when you arrive.
Okay. I guess the other.
I was just thinking I want to get some more I don't know, newspaper clippings about Cruella, and I want to look up all Hades history. But I've dealt with Hades personally, and so I'm well,
Maybe it's a bit more personal than. Sounds more personal than.
But yeah, I'll throw all of that out there. Just anything I can dig up on both of them in their entire lifetimes.
Excellent. And you've got a couple days, so go ahead, roll me a history check. Just in this hey, using my library, France, what articles can I find?
That was almost really bad. History, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Is 22.
22. Here's what you know. So Cruella is in her 40s right now. So about 20 years older than about both of you. So she's that mid 40s, maybe 46. But ever since 18, when her parents gave her, so the official news is her parents gave Cruella all their shares in their company, in DeVille Industries, where now she has 95% stock holdings and is basically the leader. She has technically a board that helps, but she is complete and total CEO, CFO. She makes every choice for this company. And she's ran it scary well the past 2 decades. Or coming up on 3 decades now, I should say. Where she has made financial mogul, scary good moves of taking other small companies but immediately integrating them, right? So finding other fashion or clothing company, putting them into her, outreaching then to food sources, food banks, moving into there, so she has a lot of what we would call fingers and pies, where it's, noted philanthropist Cruella DeVille goes to the local schools in the helping build the Cruella wing for the fashion arts, or Cruella de Vil, she has recently just opened up her brand new supermarket where people can buy in Sumani. In the past 2 years, especially, is what you're finding, Belle, is really when she's grown all this. Before this, she had her industries, but it's in these past 2 years she has been making crazy good financial choices to people. On a 22, what you're finding about Cruella, though, is like with any public figure, there are rumors. There have been rumors where a reporter once went off just like, this is inheritance money. Cruella didn't even really get this from her parents. She blackmailed her own parents into this and everything. But that was like a one-off article in a small newspaper that no one ever read again. Like, the article never was re-released in any news printing because it was all a lot of unfounded claims. Any of the facts of the story, no one could find reference to, including some of like Cruella's like early like home addresses stuff. It looks as if the dude just kind of made them up. What you're also finding about Cruella is she has a lot of strong political influence in government right now, is in dealing with this. Like, in terms of right now, Sumani has their National Guard, one might say, with the hyena and skeleton of Mr. Incredible. She's the one that is funding right now all of their food and weaponry, which is huge. Normally, they should be going through the Dwarven kingdoms. You need like army supplies or stuff, like you can get all your stuff from there. Cruella is footing a lot of these bills to have all of this army under her domain, let's say, like, you know, to help do this. And on a 22, what you're finding is there is almost no bad press about her. Like, besides that one of like, oh, this is a woman who just like inherited a bunch, she's just a generational wealth. And that was just kind of like a rant piece. Everything else is always good news. What you're finding on 22, everyone talks great about her. Whether it's the Sumani Times, the Magencia Daily, the Dysania Sun, all of these major newspapers or like postings that can go around the world are all good stuff. There's never been a bad word said about her. In Hades, and I'll say, Adam, you could even help with some of this too, and both of you looking. Belle, Hades has a lot. There is myth about him, about when the worlds were created, how he drew the straw and chose to go to the underworld, how he did all these things. There is even an old story about how Hades once, in trying to woo a goddess, created like a flowering berry that some people say, yes, elderberries came from Hades because Hades was one of the few times he tried to oppress. But it's like, oh no, it's just a story like why elderberries are there, and they're associated with like funeral rites and stuff and such. Something though that is interesting, you learn about Hades on a 22, because it's kind of that both like, this is more like a study check, I guess we could have called it. On a 22, Hades is a god that does travel, let's say. Unlike other gods in any myth and legend, usually they stay in their realms, they stay where they need to be. But with Hades, he has been known to travel to the mortal plane. Myth and legend say, like, yes, this is why you don't speak bad of the Lord of the Dead, because he could be behind you, and you don't want him sending you to the fields of punishment after you die. There is a lot of different story, though, about how he does this. Some say Hades possesses people, but that's all unfounded, just speculation. A lot of myth, though, comes in the idea that Hades has what we would call personal doorways. You know, this ability to walk where he chooses in the world. But that could be, again, just speculation. But there's a lot more myth and story of Hades, you know, turning the key of darkness and stepping through a portal into the world as he went off to find Poseidon in the sea, right? Like all these old myth that has a lot of stories somehow about doorways or keys or just different like ways of travel with him. Through all this, though, there's a lot that comes in these 4 days. I'll say you guys like it's pulling out the old adventuring packs, putting in food, rations, especially spell components for both of you, right? Like really keeping up to that. As you guys get ready, though, the day comes where a small little bird flies through your cavern, and in pulling out the scroll out of the bird, it turns in. There is 2 scrolls, right? One kind of like bound with wax to it, where one has a teleportation, the other has Snow's instructions. Basically, Snow's instructions do say exit through France. Like the teleportation has been designed for you to come from France, and so that it looks like, oh, if anyone magically were watching, oh, these are 2 people that just came from the Kingdom of France, not the Mountains of the Horn, which might look suspicious if people are curious. And so that final, before you guys leave the cavern, anything you would want to do, any last things, just quick grab, or is it ready to head off?
I put out a sign saying that temporarily be back after world is saved. Some little notes if somebody comes looking.
Out to lunch.
Yeah.
I'll even say
check back in a few weeks.
You put the out to lunch sign. The magic actually grows around it too, so that people can't enter the cavern. They can enter the antechamber, but they can't enter through the curtain because of this out to lunch sign. But yeah, you put that on. The magical barrier kind of settles in this very holy spot. And as you guys set this through, you head into France. You actually see Cogsworth is right. You could have just told him as you come in, locking the door behind you with that magic. Cogsworth sees you. You see he is looking great these days. Actually, he's looking very like toned and fit. His mustache is like always waxed really well. As he's been really settling in well to helping. He loves bureaucratic work. He loves it, and so you have given him all the like what people might think the worst parts of being a royal. And he loves it. It's like, I will file paperwork all day for people. This is wonderful. He sees you guys, though. You see he has 2 little care packages that you see. He comes up just, yes, Master Adam, Mr. Spell. Here are a little thing from us in the castle. We wish you well on your well-saving adventures, sir. You see, it's lovely. Mrs. Potts has made you each a little tea cake, just a couple little servings. And there's some little handwritten notes from like the servants. You actually see Lumiere has slipped into yours, Adam. There are 2, a blue and gold candle, and there are 2 little roses, and wrapped around in a note just for date night. And
thank you, Lumiere.
Belle, in yours, you see there's a lot of stuff, and you actually see Mrs. Potts has put in a small little powdery pouch that when you look is for hot chocolate night. So you have a little hot chocolate. But you see Cogsworth puts these in your mouth, in your hand. You see he spreads his little mustache. Just, yes, we're very excited. Now, would you like to come down to the official teleportation circle? I know... You see, he makes like, not like a cross, but like a very holy symbol, like with his mouth and hand. With the recent passing of all the clerics, we do not have a true teleportation circle, but for your departure, gives a little wink, if you'd like to leave that way. He takes you kind of down through the castle, out to the circle. And as he and some wave goodbye, everyone just kind of like saying goodbye to you. Belle, you are able to touch with your magic into this spell. The spell circles. You hear that light song in the air of, Snow's magic. And as you both circle and spin, a little more rough, as if it was a true teleportation circle, it'd be a lot smoother. But spinning through time and space, you find yourselves in the chamber halls of the council. Upon entering in, you are greeted with the sight of multiple guards. There's a lot of soldiers that are just waiting. They see you guys, though, give the bow. And as Snow walks in, you see she looks really pleased. Walking behind her, you actually see Mr. Incredible. He's in his newer red suit that he picked up. You've kind of heard he actually apparently decided to become a paladin to Ares a couple years ago. And so instead of his normal blue, his suit is very red and gold with like his beholder eye on the chest. You see, though, he is just kind of like given like a very superhero grin, pearly whites. Snow comes up, gives hugs and love. Just, thank you, welcome, King and Queen of France. We're so excited to have you. Please, if you'll come with me. As you walk, Mr. Incredible falls behind. You see, just like still smiling, still just, kind of escorting you. You actually see there are two gnolls, these hyena warriors behind him. But kind of like in that like entourage escort kind of vibe. Snow leads you in. The first thing you notice is walking through the council chambers of Princess. Walking through, it has been updated very much in the past couple of years. It is a lot more open roof style, where then moving through the hallways, there's a lot more air to the outside. It has actually been built up a bit in terms of like height to kind of start matching more of the increasing height and structure of skyscraper. But you hear the city is a buzz with people. And actually, what you would notice, no perception, but just in walking, a lot of people are talking. You hear vendors calling out just, health potions, get your health potion. Magical protection here, find a way to protect against dragons. Like, a lot of, shall we say, industrials, pioneers of capitalism have taken up roots just on the streets everywhere, and people are hawking a lot of these wares, and everyone's buying. You can only assume because of all the terror that just happened, just a couple days ago.
Right.
As you guys walk through, Snow leads you up to the chamber. You see, she turns to Mr. Crumble, just, we'll be fine if you want to come back in a few moments before we come to our bigger meeting in a while with the rest of the council. You see Mr. Crumble just, of course, Snow. Good to see you again. Kind of gives that little weird hand gesture you two, turns out of the room. As you are sitting there, Snow turns to you, smile kind of fades when Mr. Incredible. She just, Mr. Incredible is wonderful. He is just everywhere. He's a lot. Sorry. I'm glad you guys can make it. We have your rooms ready. We have everything prepared. Now, as we, appearing out of air behind Snow is Merlin. You see immediately he puts a finger to his lips, and both of you feel your mouths shut. As Merlin immediately, waves a hand, and Belle, you see chronomantic energy swirl, blue shell closing in over this space. You see Merlin just, I bring news. Terrible, terrible news, but good news. Our friends down in the underworld in Tartarus have just had a stroke of luck. You see, everything is going horrible, but that's great. You see, he pulls out a small chest. Belle, you've seen these before. Morpheus, you see, it's called Galder's Speedy Courier. These chests that can be transported planar-like through air elementals. You see, he has opened this chest, and there are a lot of letters and things. Just, everything is going terrible. They're fighting devils down there. And did you know that the demons up here, they're all working with Hades? I think it's all a plot. You see, Hades is using the devils and demons, and everyone's going, did you know this?
Yes.
Oh! You see, Merlin looks immediately crestfallen. Well, fine. I knew it too. But did you know that the demons have a secret plot to overthrow everyone?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, if you knew that too, fine. You see, Merlin, he gets a little that immature, just fine. You see, he just kind of like slides the chest over to Snow, and Snow just, what are you talking about? She's pulling out. Okay. Oh, okay. The Imagineers from Tartarus, they've sent word. They're going through there. They're fighting. Mr. Incredible met with Flint. Captain Flint. You see, Snow keeps reading. Merlin interjects. You see, just yes. Here's something I know that you don't know. Mr. Incredible is a fake. That's a demon out there. You see Snow puts out all of you stop as Snow like looks over. You see in big words, "Don't trust him. He's an imposter. The real Mr. Incredible is with us." As Snow looks at you, you all look to the door, and that's where we're going to end tonight's session. Thank you guys so much. We'll stop the recording. See you all next time.